The Rock Whisperer. Do you hear the earth talking to you?
Welcome to video 2-2. In this section, we're going to be talking about latitude and longitude. So the first thing we want to talk about are the four cardinal directions. And on a compass, those are your north, south, east, and west that tell you your primary directions. After that, you have ordinal directions. And those ordinal directions are going to be your northeast, your southeast, your northwest, and your southwest. That give you a more specific breakdown of where you are. When we talk about mapping, and we can talk about this with astronomy especially, we can talk about the azimuth of an area. And what that's referring to when you look at this diagram is if you start at north being 0 and you go around the circle, east would be at 90 degrees, south is at 180, west is at 270, and your north would be back at 360 or back to 0. So when we talk about latitude and longitude, we're talking about degrees of an arc that help to divide our Earth into equal increments so that we can plot and tell where we are at certain times and places. When we look at our latitude, we can look at it as the degree to the north or south of the equator being 0. And if you look at the picture, I have highlighted an angle for you, and that particular angle is approximately for Galway, New York. And you can see that's based off using the center of the Earth and the equator. The highest degree latitude would be the North Pole, which is 90 degrees north. And going to the south, it's also 90 degrees, but that's 90 degrees south, which is the South Pole. Longitude is how far east or west you are from the prime meridian. The prime meridian is 0 degrees. It runs through Greenwich, England. Sometimes you hear Greenwich Mean Time or Standard Time or Zulu Time that are used, and that's all based off what the time is in Greenwich, England. And then we move 15 degrees either to the east or to the west, and those are our primary lines, and those lines will also give you your time zones. You can see that your longitude looks like that you're peeling segments off of an orange. Here's another way of looking at your latitude and longitude lines. And then you can see how they create a grid on the Earth. That our latitude lines, again, the main division line for that is the equator. And we can see that those lines are running parallel, going up in increments, and our longitude lines are running in a vertical direction going around the globe. And for the longitude, the main line is the prime meridian. We can see once we put those together, we can figure out different places on the Earth by using latitude and longitude. And don't forget your units. It's really important to have units. If we don't include north or south or east or west, we could wind up in one of 4 different places. If I told you I was at, for instance, we look at where letter A is, and I can see that we are at 60 degrees and 90 degrees, well, we could be at one of 4 different locations. We need to make sure that we say 60 degrees north and 90 degrees to the west in order to be specific where we are. So pause the video right here in a second and write down what the coordinates are for A, B, C, D, E, and F, and then we'll check and see how well you did in class. We should know that the Earth rotates at 15 degrees per hour. And if you take 15 and you multiply it by 24, you get 360 degrees, which is a complete circle. So that shows you that there's 24 time zones on the Earth. This is an example of a time zone chart, and you can look at different ones, and some of them are set up slightly different. I like this one because when you look right through Greenwich, it's showing you you're at 0, and then whether you are plus 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, or if you go to the west, that you're minus hours from Greenwich time, so it will help you to distinguish the time. You can also see on this that some time zones aren't necessarily straight up and down, even with your lines of longitude. They kind of move and change based on where your country boundaries are, or maybe major rivers. That's it for this section, and stay tuned for the next one.
don't forget to listen to the Earth.